it's Angie from Canterbury Tales Farm. Today I'm going to show you another way to use up those damaged vintage linens that you have sitting around trying to find new craft projects to use them for. This one involves a little bit of sewing. I guess you could do it without any if you wanted to use trim or some sort of just fold under the edges. And what we're making are gift bags, and I love the craft paper, craft-like accessory things you can buy, and these are just plain gift bags that you buy, and I got 3 for $1. I think it was at the Dollar General store. The first thing I did was I went through my vintage linens and I selected parts of it that I thought would look good, and I was doing this long rectangle kind of bag. There's squarer bags and there's colored bags, and you can do any kind of bag you want. So I selected these long narrow bags. So I wanted to find some segments of my vintage linens that I could cut that would look interesting on the bags. And I went ahead and did these, and there's 2 different ways you can do this. First of all, I'm using these adhesive sheets from Scrapbook Adhesives, and they come in 4x little sheets that you can just, like, they're for sticking on photographs, but it works just great with this. And they come in these little sheets like this, and they're double-sided. So the first option you can do is you can use these also for photos. They're just, I got these off Amazon. They're called from the Display Guys or something like that, and they're 100 pieces, and they're just little clear bags. They have an adhesive strip on it for putting in photos. And I just slipped I cut the section out of the vintage linens that I wanted to use, and then I just blanket stitched the edges. Folded them under, ironed them, and a blanket stitched the edges. If you don't want to do blanket stitching on them, you could fold it under, iron it, and you could put trim on it, or you could probably just, if you ironed it flat enough and you had a piece that was flat enough, you could just leave it like that if you wanted to. But I like to do the blanket stitching. The first thing you can do is you can slip it in one of these bags and then put the adhesive on the back of the bag and then apply it to your bag if you want to. And that protects the vintage linen, and it can be removed if the bag is damaged. So that's your first option. I didn't really like that as much. I thought that might be something good if I was making this vintage linen section maybe into a bookmark or something, and then you could make it do double duty as far as a bag decoration, and then it could be removed and used as a bookmark. But I wanted it more on the bag itself. So what I then did is I selected my portion of the vintage linen, and I did my stitching around it, and then you just take the adhesive. This brand has a neat little strip at the top that you can hold it by, and just center it over your design. And you really want to make sure you get it rubbed into the fibers there, and then you can just remove that other little strip. Now I used another brand on some other crafts called Elizabeth Craft Design, and it was a double adhesive sheet, and I really like those. I had a bad batch of these, but this batch was really good and I didn't have any issues with it. So since I have that blanket stitching there, I want to get it right down in there, and you really want to rub it and get it in all the stitching and all the threads and all the fiber. Then I've got a little bit that's hanging off here, so I'm going to trim that away. Alright, and then you just take your bag, and I'm going to just center mine. I'm going to just peel off that back adhesive. You just want to lay it down on your bag. And again, you just rub it down really good. Alright. And that's all there is to it. Now I have a gift bag with the decorative portions from the vintage linen. So whichever style you pick lets you use up all those vintage linens. another craft idea for them to give them a new life and a new purpose. And it's really, I think it really is a unique gift bag that you can't buy in the store. You can really personalize it. If you wanted to, you could add buttons, glue, a heavy duty or glue. You could put, like I said, trim. You could add satin roses, whatever kind of thing that you might find appealing. So I hope that you are able to find some inspiration in this idea and branch out and make your own gift bags. So this has been Angie from Canterbury Trails Farm. Thanks for joining us.